Fair enough. I get that. I just wondered if you did have a view. I know you've got a lot of opinions. So
yes, I've got a lot of opinions.
I wanted to ask. Well, I'll tell you something people do have a huge opinion about. You mentioned it briefly, but I want to just get a little bit more into the detail. Almost a year ago to the day, really, Facebook decided to suspend President Trump for sharing a video of his support to his supporters, some of his supporters, for storming the Capitol. You upheld that view, that decision to suspend him indefinitely, but not permanently. Is that right?
It was a very interesting situation where Facebook had decided to, now Meta had decided to remove Trump from the platforms based on the fact that he was inciting violence. And they asked us whether that was, the oversight board, whether that was the right decision. That was not one of the decisions where a user complains. It was actually Meta asking the oversight board what we thought about this. And we agreed with Meta that it was okay to remove Mr. Trump on the basis that he was inciting violence, but we disagreed with the sanction that Meta had given. So we asked them actually to go back and find a new sanction for Mr. Trump. So it became more a case about Meta and an arbitrary sanction than it was about Mr. Trump.
So it was sorting out the system as well as taking a view on that.
Yeah.
I understand that, but some people did view that as anti-democratic. You know, 75 million people voted for him, and Facebook is in this situation where it offers everybody the platform. And I suppose, what would you say to those people who say he has a right to be on Facebook?
The most positive thing about social media is that, and we forget that sometimes when we discuss social media, is that people have been given voice where they otherwise would not have a voice. Agency, and so many people can actually gather, make groups, create demonstrations, be together on social media where before they didn't have a voice. So that's the most amazing thing about social media. And of course, politicians should be on social media because it's also their way of connecting with people. And they certainly have a right to free speech. So I don't think it was easy for Meta to decide whether Mr. Trump should be taken down or not. And we actually also touched upon in our decision that Trump should not be taken down because he was saying falsehoods about the elections, that he was not speaking the truth about the election result. We only said that it was right to take Mr. Trump down because he was inciting violence. And within Facebook's own rules, you can't incite violence. I've got the right to speak, but I don't have the right to speak if I'm actually inciting violence against you or anyone else. So that is where we have to draw a balance. And we thought that Meta did that the right place. But of course, Mr. Trump has the right to be on Facebook and Instagram if he does not incite violence.
When's he coming back then?
I don't know. You have to ask Meta that.
Is there a date?
I don't know. They've given him I think gave him 2 years or something like that. So you have to ask Meta.
We'll be back in time potentially for another run at the White House.
We'll see. That's up to Meta.
We will see. And then you'll look at it, of course. That's part of how it works as we're learning.